First of all, it's not a rivalry. Not when you're losing by 35 points.
That's true.
Not right.
Stephen A. Smith launched a fiery verbal critique of Angel Reese, with the Caitlin Clark rivalry at the heart of it all. One moment he was offering his usual sharp basketball insights, and the next, he was delivering a blunt reality check that hit as hard as a WNBA contract. Did Angel Reese cross a line, or was Stephen A. just calling for a dose of humility? Either way, his words didn't just drop. They exploded, leaving fans buzzing. Now, everyone's debating. Did Angel go too far, or was Stephen A. simply reminding us what the game is really about?
And the fever's on a different level than the Chicago Sky. Let's get that out the way. Secondly, as much as we love Angel Reese because she is special, she's not Caitlin Clark as a player. Caitlin Clark is on a different level.
Stephen A. Smith, a man whose voice could probably power a small city, has done it once more. This time, he set his sights on Angel Reese, weighing in on the now legendary Caitlin Clark rivalry. A feud that feels more like a high school drama but comes with billion-dollar contracts and an army of Twitter pundits. As always, Stephen A. stepped in as referee, coach, and emotional guru in this epic clash of college basketball icons. When the drama heats up, you don't just tune in, you bring in Stephen A., the master of turning sports conflicts into must-see finales, combining raw emotion, passionate outbursts, and bold, unfiltered takes.
It was a basketball play. Yes. Angel Reese is right about that. But what they called against her in terms of upgrading it to a flagrant one is exactly what they would have done in the NBA as well. I also think to some degree they're looking for something from Angel Reese because if you recall when Kennedy Carter bumped or, shoved Caitlin Clark to one of the footages they show was Angel Reese getting up and clapping and stuff like that. They keep their eyes on stuff like this. Here's where I'm going where the rivalry kicks in. Angel Reese, the reason why obviously the whole Caitlin Clark Angel Reese thing happened was because when they met in the NCAA tournament in 2023 when Angel Reese was doing all of this because Caitlin Clark.
Stephen A. jumping into this rivalry was as predictable as fries coming with ketchup. But he didn't just weigh in. He stormed in like thunder, his voice booming with that trademark blend of intensity and urgency, reserved for moments he sees as pivotal. And to be fair, he wasn't wrong. Few things are more iconic in basketball than one of his fiery rants, delivered with the energy of someone chugging espresso through a megaphone. His passionate commentary elevated the rivalry into something bigger than basketball, once again proving that when Stephen A. steps in, you're guaranteed a front row seat to pure, unfiltered drama. Please don't forget to like the video and subscribe my channel for more awesome content. Thanks.
Yeah, Caitlin Clark is getting that notoriety. Let me go out there and use that to take advantage of it myself and show you what the hell I bring to the table. You can roll your eyes all you want to, but I'm giving you facts. I'm giving you facts. I'm giving you facts, Eminem. That's what I said. You sat up there and Angel Reese put the female basketball world on notice. Excuse me, I'ma go at her. I'ma take it to that team. I'ma beat them and I'ma show you I'm just as worthy.
Then there's Angel Reese, a powerhouse on the court whose very presence throws defenses off balance, going head-to-head with Caitlin Clark, the record-breaking sharpshooter who plays like she's unlocked a hidden cheat code. But this rivalry isn't just about stats, it's a battle for the spotlight and social media dominance. Enter Stephen A., the ever-dramatic basketball oracle, slicing through the noise with his bold opinions. His fiery commentary only intensifies the clash, turning this showdown into a full-blown spectacle packed with talent, attitude, and headline-grabbing drama.
Angel Reese can rebound the basketball. She's a damn good player. She's got a bright future in the WNBA, but Caitlin Clark is next level. That's number 2.
Honestly, Stephen A. putting Angel Reese in her place felt less like a measured sports analysis and more like a solo performance of The Tempest, with his booming voice as the thunder and his ego taking center stage. You can almost picture him pacing around the studio, every vocal cord working overtime as he gears up for a speech that could rival a presidential address, if presidents were paid millions to yell at cameras. His intense delivery turned the moment into pure spectacle, blurring the line between insightful commentary and full-blown theater, transforming sports talk into a clash of egos on a grand, dramatic scale.
Angel Reese experienced vitriol thereafter. It was tough for her to deal with, as she articulated, and that's unfortunate because we got some no-good-ass people in this world. And their definition of happiness is bringing you down to the level of misery they experience.
Stephen A. Smith's attempt to put Angel Reese in her place felt less like a thoughtful sports critique and more like a one-man performance of The Tempest, his thunderous voice as the storm and his ego front and center as the lead. You could practically picture him pacing the studio, straining every vocal cord in preparation for a monologue that rivaled a presidential address. If only world leaders were paid millions to yell at TV screens. His delivery wasn't just fiery, it was theatrical. What could have been a meaningful discussion turned into a full-blown spectacle, fueled more by ego and volume than by insight or nuance. Rather than engaging in a balanced analysis, Stephen A. seemed more intent on dominating the headlines and stirring the pot, amplifying the drama instead of dissecting it. His tone, loud, aggressive, and dramatic, often drowned out the real stories, the athlete's skill, character, and rivalry. At times, it felt like he was trying to outshout the players themselves, turning a moment ripe for reflection on sportsmanship and competition into an exaggerated display of bravado. In the end, his commentary became more about performance than perspective, more noise than substance. And in doing so, it reminded us that sometimes, the loudest voices in sports media can overshadow the very essence of the game: respect, talent, and the spirit of competition.
And that's why we have this big spike in women's basketball, was because of them. That's the rivalry. It's not much, okay, their games are not rivalry. Their personalities are the rivalry.
Yeah, and I guess for some, yeah.
So you're right. So yeah, but that's what it is. It's not that I can have it. That's what it is.
And the internet? It devoured it, or at the very least, couldn't resist mocking it. Memes spread faster than Caitlin Clark draining a buzzer-beating three. Some showed Stephen A. in a referee's uniform, dishing out technical fouls for excessive sass and theatrical flair. Others imagined him coaching both teams at once, delivering halftime speeches so intense they might trigger a mild earthquake. Stephen A. didn't just comment on a sports rivalry, he turned it into a full-blown gladiator showdown, complete with dramatic pauses, rhetorical flourishes, and enough over-the-top delivery to pass as an audition for the next primetime drama. And somehow, he managed to crank an already fiery rivalry up to hurricane status, narrating each moment with the kind of intensity usually reserved for movie trailers or boxing promos. To him, this wasn't just basketball. It was about respect, legacy, and seeing who could land the loudest verbal blow without ever stepping on the court. His words echoed across living rooms, barbershops, and probably even Zoom meetings where no one dared speak over his monologue. Meanwhile, Angel Reese was likely rolling her eyes hard enough to qualify as a new Olympic event, thinking something like, "Thanks for the unsolicited life lessons, Stephen, but I've got records to break." And Caitlin Clark? She was probably off somewhere quietly plotting her next game-changing play, unfazed by the noise, because when you're busy making history, there's no time for theatrics.
Caitlin Clark and Angel Reese kind of sounds a little bit like the conversation you just had about wanting the spotlight. This is what I said about it, and I love it. I want to see them going at it. I want to see them playing physical. I want to keep this racist crap off the court where it belongs. If some jamoke wants to talk like that, then go home. I don't want to hear it.
But Stephen A., ever the showman, can't help but be the loudest voice in the room. Every sentence becomes a crescendo, every take a declaration, and every rivalry a full-blown soap opera. It's as if he's cast himself as the booming narrator of this basketball epic, with Angel Reese and Caitlin Clark as the lead characters, and he's the voice demanding the spotlight. Without Stephen A.'s thunderous commentary, how would we know just how seriously to take this rivalry? Maybe that's the magic. Maybe the real contest isn't just about who scores the most or has the slickest moves. It's about who earns the most quotable soundbite from Stephen A. Smith. Because when he steps in, the game transforms into more than just basketball. It becomes an event. A spectacle. A headline in the making, where every reaction feels just as vital as the on-court action. While Angel Reese and Caitlin Clark keep battling with pure skill and passion, Stephen A. holds court from his studio throne, amplifying every moment with a thunderous take. And honestly, we wouldn't have it any other way. His larger-than-life presence ensures every rivalry stays loud, dramatic, and impossible to ignore, reminding us all that in today's sports world, it's not just about stats. It's about the story, the drama, and the voice that makes it echo.
And so that's unfortunate, but in the end, the WNBA is moving upwards. Both of those young ladies are going to be incredible contributors to the product and the brand.
But of course, the saga doesn't end there, not in Stephen A. Smith's world, where every sentence lands like a seismic event and every moment is an opportunity to remind us that he is the main character. You thought you were watching a basketball rivalry? Think again. You're witnessing a one-man production where the spotlight drifts from the court to the studio, and the star is none other than the vocal dynamo himself. Stephen A.'s presence in the Caitlin Clark vs. Angel Reese showdown feels like a cat crashing a dog show, claiming territory, stealing the scene. There they are, two elite athletes redefining women's basketball with raw talent and fierce determination. And then here comes Stephen A., voice raised, opinions blazing, as if he's handing out MVP trophies at a rec league game. He talks about Angel Reese as though she's a character in some mythic drama who's crossed a sacred line, ready to deliver a metaphorical wrist slap in the name of sports values. You can almost picture him pacing in the studio, pen in hand like a fuse, preparing to unleash a monologue on humility, respect, and the essence of competition. But instead of quiet wisdom, what we get are theatrical declarations that blur the line between sports commentary and stage performance. You're left wondering, is he trying to cement his legacy as the greatest analyst of all time, or just making sure his vocal cords stay in peak condition? Either way, his outsized presence ensures that every beat of this rivalry gets cranked up, transformed into a headline, and firmly rooted in the realm of entertainment.
Caitlin Clark's or Angel Reese's popularity in large part is attributed to her behavior towards Caitlin Clark, because when Caitlin Clark was busy taunting opponents a couple of years back before LSU smacked Iowa around in a national championship game or so, it was Angel Reese that was clapping back at Caitlin Clark.
And let's talk about Stephen A. Smith's tone, because subtlety? That's not in his playbook. His voice is the audio equivalent of a fireworks show fused with a roller coaster and a motivational speech. Every word is enunciated like it's the last one that will ever be spoken, every pause loaded with suspense, and every sentence delivered with such force you start to wonder if you're watching a sports segment or a verbal cage match. It's clear he's less interested in unpacking the finer points of the Caitlin Clark-Angel Reese rivalry and more focused on being the loudest, most theatrical voice in the room. While Caitlin is out there draining impossible threes and shattering records, and Angel is bulldozing through defenses with sheer power and presence, Stephen A. is making absolutely sure the world hears his take, whether it adds clarity or just more noise. The irony? While he's booming about how Angel Reese needs to check herself or whatever he proclaimed with full-throttle drama, women's basketball is in the middle of a renaissance, led by two remarkable athletes showing heart, skill, and pure competitive fire. But instead of staying with that narrative, Stephen A. delivers sound bites that feel like they were drafted in a writer's room after one too many energy drinks. His larger-than-life persona guarantees every moment is amplified, every take becomes a headline, and the drama stays front and center, whether the game needs it or not.
RG3 had to step in. Good for RG3. He actually said something right here. He said Angel Reese legitimately hates Caitlin Clark. There's no question. Jealousy, envy. Jealousy and envy. Pettiness. Oh, ego. It's jealousy and envy because of ego. Now, I've said this before and I'll say this again. She wanted to be the villain, and then she cried about being the villain. Angel Reese. She wanted to be the sex symbol wearing all these.
Ladies and gentlemen, I love Caitlin Clark. She's been a guest on this show. I think she's spectacular. I'm the one that's been calling her the Steph Curry of women's basketball, and she has done nothing to push that back. I mean, this young lady is spectacular. She's been great for women's basketball overall, not just college basketball, but women's basketball. I think she has the potential, when all is said and done, to be arguably the greatest ever, because when you have that kind of range and that kind of handle, and you can pull up from the parking lot like Steph Curry, for crying out loud, I think that's something that you can transition to the next level, and it's going to be spectacular to see, and I can't wait to see it. But here's the reality of the situation. She instigated this kind of stuff. Let's call it what it is.
You can almost picture it. Angel Reese casually scrolling through her phone, watching Stephen A. Smith go off, loud, animated, delivering his take like she's a rebellious teen who just broke curfew. But that narrative couldn't be further from reality. Angel has faced pressure, criticism, and controversy for years. She doesn't need a booming voice trying to play life coach from a studio chair. As for Caitlin Clark, she's probably shaking her head somewhere, half amused, half bewildered, as she continues to put up jaw-dropping numbers and redefine greatness on the court. For her, and for Reese too, this rivalry isn't just about headlines. It's about excellence, drive, and game-changing skill. Meanwhile, the internet has become the battlefield for this new age sports drama. Social media exploded with reactions. Memes of Stephen A. with cartoonishly inflated lungs, clips of his infamous eyebrow raise, and gifs of his "Are you kidding me?" face flooding timelines everywhere. People aren't just watching the rivalry unfold. They are tuning in for the Stephen A. sideshow, complete with full-volume passion and theatrical flair. This whole ordeal has turned into a viral phenomenon, a spectacle where the focus is sometimes more on Stephen A.'s larger-than-life persona than the athletes themselves. And honestly, it's a reminder of today's sports landscape, where the line between the game and the entertainment around it keeps getting blurrier, and personalities like Stephen A. often end up stealing the spotlight from the very stars they're supposed to be talking about.
Ladies and gentlemen, I love Caitlin Clark. She's been a guest on this show. I think she's spectacular. I'm the one that's been calling her the Steph Curry of women's basketball, and she has done nothing to push that back. I mean, this young lady is spectacular. She's been great for women's basketball overall, not just college basketball, but women's basketball. I think she has the potential, when all is said and done, to be arguably the greatest ever, because when you have that kind of range and that kind of handle, and you can pull up from the parking lot like Steph Curry, for crying out loud, I think that's something that you can transition to the next level, and it's going to be spectacular to see, and I can't wait to see it. But here's the reality of the situation. She instigated this kind of stuff. Let's call it what it is. She was waving. She was doing the Cena. How about what she did to Raven Johnson? She didn't just go into the lane and not guard her against South Carolina in the national semifinal. She waved her off. She didn't mind being disrespectful.
At this point, Stephen A. Smith has practically crowned himself the unofficial hype man of the rivalry, except he's also trying to direct the story, reshape the narrative, and remind everyone that without him, this whole spectacle wouldn't be half as entertaining. It's a masterclass in self-branding, turning a two-player feud into a one-man performance, grandiose, loud, and anything but subtle. And maybe that's the point. While Caitlin Clark and Angel Reese are out on the court crafting their own legacies through raw talent and unforgettable moments, Stephen A. is busy building his own off the hardwood, casting himself as the all-knowing, all-seeing oracle of basketball. He's there to dispense his version of wisdom, raise his voice, and challenge anyone who dares to see the story differently. The result? A fiery cocktail of drama, brilliance, and booming opinions. A reminder that modern sports aren't just about what happens during the game. They are about narratives, media energy, and larger-than-life personalities like Stephen A., who refuse to be background noise. In his world, no story is complete without a verbal showdown, and no spotlight is truly claimed until he's stepped into it. This is more than a rivalry. It's a spectacle where the off-court drama is just as vital as the on-court brilliance.
Continue to love the WNBA and support the WNBA as we all do. And racial animus exists in this world. And to a lot of white people out there, I've said this on many, many occasions. If you're not one of them no good bastards that would do something like that, feel something like that, say something like that, nobody's talking about you. Don't personalize it and embrace it as if black folks and other folks are lumping you with them. No, we know how to isolate. We know how to look at the Susie Schuster and say she's a wonderful woman. She's straight up. She don't play. She don't tolerate no nonsense, but she's a damn good woman.
As the rivalry between Caitlin Clark and Angel Reese continues to captivate fans and redefine the landscape of women's basketball, another story is quietly, or rather, loudly, unfolding alongside it. That of a man whose booming voice isn't just commentary, but a full-blown performance. Stephen A. Smith doesn't just react to the drama. He becomes part of it, inserting himself into the spotlight while calling others out for stealing it. In today's sports world, some of the biggest showdowns don't happen on the court, but in the studio, where Stephen A. rules with decibel-breaking hot takes and theatrical delivery. His presence adds a chaotic, often comedic layer of entertainment that fans never asked for, but now can't seem to ignore. And just like that, the legacy of this rivalry is no longer just about buckets and records. It's forever linked to a voice that refuses to be left out of the story. Because sometimes, the most unforgettable plays happen after the buzzer, not on the hardwood, but behind the microphone.